What up, what up, what up, internet? Who you are, where you be, where you at, what you see. This is Pop Cult Parent, and everyone is trying to jack our loads. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. My name is Mark M.F. Jones, and I'm always joined by...
Wow, Mark. Okay, I'm back. This is Niels R.Y., a.k.a. The Devil Is Not Welcome Here.
And this is Shannon, aka my dude sick in my day. I still don't know the words.
What up,
Smith.
And if you haven't pieced together yet, we're talking about Bad Boys 2, directed by Michael Bay, starring Martin Lawrence and Will Smith. This is the sequel to Bad Boys. And if you're wondering why we're not talking about Bad Boys 1, it's because Bad Boys 2 turns 20 this year. Humbling. Take it in, soak it in, cry about it. But the movie turns 20, so we figured, like, why not talk about this Michael Bay masterpiece? So this is another go back. We're going to get right into it. Nels, you got a little bit of history for us, and then we're going to get right into this masterpiece.
Yes, indeedy. So, Mark, you already shared some of the key highlights. As folks know, there was a Bad Boys 1. Martin Lawrence, Will Smith, and Michael Bay and Jerry Bruckheimer were all involved in Bad Boys 1. You all may have known some of the interesting stories around Bad Boys 1, but Michael Bay was like I forgot who the original two actors who were supposed to be in Bad Boys.
It was like, oh my God, it was like the dude from The Critic. I forget, It Stinks. That guy.
Yeah.
Seth Meyers.
John Lovitz, I think his name is.
Yes, John Lovitz, and the dude, who's the other guy? Is he the dude from Master of Disguise? What is
Dana Harvey?
I want to say it was them two. Like, it was first pitched to be those two.
Yeah, why do I think Bill Murray was potentially a bad boy?
Might as well been.
Might as well been. So yeah, there clearly, just from some of the potential cast members, you all could realize the original Bad Boys was very much so a different movie than what we got. I think Michael Bay was key in deciding. He's like, look, you got one of the funniest people on the planet in Martin Lawrence, and this hotshot who has the #1 TV show on NBC and Will Smith. Put them two in the movie and see what happens. And he was right.
You gotta give him credit.
Bad Boy. Yeah,
he called it. He called it. And this was back, and not to interrupt your history notes, but this was back when Hollywood was really not trying to give Black people the lead in major motion pictures, and they really wanted this to be white boys. You know, they really, really wanted it to be like two white leads. And Michael Bay, for all his Michael Bay-ness, pushed the boundaries of progressiveness and pushed for two Black lead actors.
Ooh, well, progressiveness and Michael Bay. Well, we'll have to talk about that a little bit more.
Yo, just laughing about that though. I was like, as soon as you said that, I was like, the theme song on White Boys gonna do. I was like, that would have been very different.
And you know, the interesting thing is, like, Bad Boys as a category is a buddy cop movie. And if you think about the greatest buddy cop movies that America has ever produced, there's at least one Black person in it. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, you could have imagined if you get like Martin Lawrence, and I don't know if y'all remember Martin Lawrence back in the 90s. The only word I can say is dominant. Like,
yeah.
Martin to this day is still considered one of the best sitcoms ever.
Yeah.
And it was him. So like, yeah, Martin was the lead in Bad Boys 1. Like, it was Martin's movie, and then they added Will Smith.
It was, yeah.
So, anyways, that's all the context. It's a very good movie. So, Bad Boys 2, many years later, a lot of excitement going into this movie, and, you know, we are now celebrating 20 years. It has Michael Bay and Jerry Bruckheimer. It also has Gabrielle Union, and the movie back in 2003 made $273 million. So it was not a bust. It made over double its budget. And yeah, excited to talk to y'all about it. I have one other
Go ahead.
interesting fun fact before we can jump in. I'm curious if y'all knew this. Did you all know that Gabrielle Union's character actually had a spin-off TV show called LA's Finest
No,
with
what?
her and what's the actress from Honey? Jessica Alba played her partner.
You are lying, dog.
No.
Yes way. Yes way. Look it up.
What?
She plays this character from Bad Boys 2 in LA, and she is teamed up with Jessica Alba, and it was a TV show. It lasted a few episodes,
Did it come
but
on?
it was a spin-off from Bad Boys 2.
Did it come on the
Fox.
WB? Like, okay, Fox.
Fox.
Yeah,
that
explains
that
everything.
answers about 7 of your questions, right?
explains everything. Like, are
Well,
you
under
kidding
the
me?
radar.
Wow.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Wow. And you know what's funny? Nowadays, that's the standard MO. Like this little side character. I mean, look at Marvel. All these little side characters getting their own the TV shows. So that's funny that back in the day. But I mean, no diss to Gabrielle Union. Like I don't know if she was a jet.
This
beauty of the
wasn't
week,
back in
but,
the
like,
day. This was like 3 years ago. Like two or 3 years ago.
Yo,
This is
no.
recent.
No. What?
This came out like a year or so after Bad Boys for Life.
Oh man, I was about to
Wow.
give them so much credit. Who asked for that? Who was like, man?
So we're
need
talking a good 20 years after the movie came out.
when's that?
They're like,
Sid-
oh, we should do a spinoff because
What's that,
Gabrielle Union's high in
Sid's-
these streets.
that Sid spinoff sequel coming out. Like, who asked for that? Like, who was like, just oh my goodness, dog. That's amazing.
Mind you, that's a keep jumping in. Shit, I'm sure you want to say something. Mind you, Sid was not in Bad Boys for Life, so we have not seen her since 2003. They greenlit, shot the pilot, and then ran the series from someone we haven't seen in 20 years.
That's
So, yes.
amazing. That's amazing.
That's why I'm laughing so hard too, because I'm glad you said that, because I started thinking about Bad Boys for Life and I was like, man, I forgot a chunk of that movie, because I'm like, she must have been all throughout that movie for that to happen. And I'm like, no, I was right. She was not even.
That's
20 years
funny.
later. 20 years later.
That-
If anything,
Man.
that shows the power of Gabrielle Union. Like she's been in successful. She's like, what's it called? Being Mary Jane was like one of the
Yeah.
most successful BET TV shows.
Oh yeah. Oh
ever.
man. I enjoyed her performance in this movie back in
Mhm.
2000. Yeah, like I was a Gabrielle Union fan. Was she ever a jet beauty? I feel like
she had to have been.
I feel like right.
had
I
to
feel
have
like
been.
yeah, she had to have been a jet.
It's Gabrielle Union.
Yeah,
Come on
yeah.
now.
That's an easy statement. Yeah, that's
They were
the
still
truth.
doing those in the 90s, so I had to.
She probably had the power to be a Jet Beauty of the Week, and then a month later being on the cover of Jet magazine.
Yeah.
Like that's the kind of stuff Gabrielle Union doing, especially in the 90s and
Yeah,
the 2000s. So yeah,
Oh man. So
that's
should
the
we
history, folks.
Well, before
On Bad
before we
Boys
get
2.
we get into Bad Boys, I just want to say, do y'all remember? Like, I remember so much hype for this movie because I remember, Bad Boys was a hit. Everyone loved it. It was that like no one was doing buddy. You know how like I'll put it like this: Beverly Hills Cop walk, so Bad Boys could run into an explosion face first. It was like that. They took that Beverly Hills Cop like kind of like soul, and they just pushed it to 11. So everyone really loved it. There was nothing really like Bad Boys when it first came out. So I remember when the sequel was announced, I remember it was a Super Bowl trailer, and the whole Super Bowl commercial was that scene of Will Smith in that house, the 360 gunfight scene, and it's just like swooping around, and him and the Haitians are yelling at each other.
Yeah,
And that was it. And it was like, and then
that
I think
was
they
it.
showed like
that
a
was
little
enough
clip
for
of
us
the
to
car
want to go
chase.
watch this. The hype was
Mhm.
real, Mark. My
Yeah.
fault. The
No,
hype
no,
was
yeah.
real because of that trailer.
Like that was
a
it.
big deal.
They showed that one scene, and I think they showed the scene of when the car flips over the Ferrari, and
The
Martin's
boat,
like, "What?"
the boat flips over the Ferrari
Yeah,
or
yeah.
something. Yeah.
Mm.
And then now they're like Bad Boys 2 coming this like summer, and everyone was in. Everyone, like, people were so hyped for this movie.
I just gotta say, yes, number one, Mark, that is absolutely true. Two, like it. So there's a couple things with Bad Boys 2, and we'll probably get to some of this, but one of the things is some say this is Michael Bay's last great movie. Now, we've talked about Michael Bay a little bit from our previous episode, and we're gonna talk more about Michael Bay in this episode. and I think, Mark, you kind of like spoke about Michael Bay perfectly. He's junk food, and so everything's good in moderation. But one, people have said this is like Michael Bay's quote unquote last great movie. And then the other thing is, this movie is really polarizing, a lot more polarizing than I thought it was.
Yeah.
So like you like typically will hear folks not actually sound that excited about Bad Boys 2 and actually sound kind of critical about it. But let me tell you something. As for me and all the folks in Robinson High School back in 2003, 2004, we loved, and I cannot iterate this with so much pizzazz to really communicate this. We loved Bad Boys 2. We quoted Bad Boys 2 every single day, almost every single period after class. We like, this was like you remember when Kevin Hart's like Laugh at My Pain came out? And everybody was just going, no, and like, say it with your chest. Like, we were doing all the Kevin Hart stuff. That was Bad Boys 2 back in 2003. Like, we quoted this movie religiously. So I know what the critics are saying, but I can tell you for a fact, at least for Northern Virginia, there was a following for this movie.
Oh yeah, dog, I'm with you. Shout out to Aldwin, who's been on the show. I saw this movie with him and two other friends of ours, and it was one of those movies where I'm trying. How do I word this? It was one of those movies when you went into the movie theater and like the audience was like, "Man, aren't we having a good time?" Isn't everyone like, "Hey, man, this is a great time, right, everybody?" Hey,
sounds
guy
like
over
a
there,
Michael Bay
like,
movie.
Yeah,
It's
like,
just a
dog,
typical Michael Bay movie.
I sat next to this random lady. She must have been like late 30s, early 40s, and she gave me like elbow nudges, like the whole movie. She's like, ah! She's like nudging me with her elbow the whole time. I don't know this lady, but I was like, yeah, this is great.
Look, young man, look at that. It's a car. The car flipped over.
Nah, man, I just remember the electricity in the room where everyone was just having a great time. Everyone was so happy to see these two characters back on the screen, and Michael Bay really came into his own by the time this movie came out. And it's so funny. There are camera moves and angles in this movie that he borrows from himself. I'm like, that literally is a scene from Transformers. That literally is a scene from The Island or 13 Hours. Like, the man borrows from himself so much.
And it should also be known, this is after Will Smith is nominated for Ali. So he is an Oscar nominated actor going into making Bad Boys 2. So yes, just to add that point in.
Yeah, and I'll extend it down. You were saying, Northern Virginia, it was all over. Let's extend it down to North Carolina. Yeah, North Carolina, it was the same. I'm like, I saw the movie so many times. I really don't remember if I saw it in the theater, but I remember like later when it came out, my brother had the DVD, and so many times I watched it at his house. It even happened. So prom happens. I think this was junior year. Prom happens, and me and a bunch of friends after prom, what are a lot of people doing? Oh, well, we going to the beach, or we going to do this thing, we're going to do that. Me and a bunch of friends, we're like, hey, let's go to my brother's house. We're about to watch Bad Boys 2. We hanging out after prom. Like, that is what we did after my junior prom.
Senior year, this is when memories are made. Our adult life starts now. Bad Boys 2, pop it in.
Yeah.
Pop it in the DVD player.
And what was so wild, like, we didn't even like change. So we're like in,
you guys watching Bad Boys 2 in there?
We're like in formal wear, chilling on my brother's couch, like prom dresses, suits. It's like, it's hot. Let me take the jacket off. But we watching Bad Boys 2. So yeah.
No, Shannon,
We have very different prom nights, Shannon.
that's funny. But no, but like that's the beauty, man. That's the beauty of movies. And there's some movies that just hit like that. It's like it's gonna sound cheesy. It's like an old friend. There's certain movies y'all know that like if you have a party and you put it on, everyone's like, oh, y'all watch it, hey, bet, and like everyone just kind of gradually finds their way to that room and they just start watching that movie. And this is one of those movies.
Quoting it out loud
Yes.
while everybody's watching it. Yes. Yes, absolutely. So y'all want to jump into the movie?
Let's jump into the movie. So y'all gonna have to help me with. I'll try to keep us, moving. But I feel like I mixed like the middle of this movie and the end of this movie. It just flows together. But we'll figure it out. But
Mark, can I just throw this out there?
Yeah,
I think Michael Bay was confused too. just throw that out there. You may not have been alone. So we're gonna work with you, brother. But I'm pretty sure the director's in the same boat.
So all right. So the movie opens and we see, drugs being smuggled, I think, from Amsterdam, and it shows like the whole like train, and then drugs are going down, and they end up in Miami, and it's pretty cool. But I was like, man, when this opening, I was like, this movie is so early 2000s. Like it has that kind of techno whatever music that was. It just has the tint of green like a Matrix film. So we're seeing like drugs, move and we get to Miami and the drugs are delivered to a group of KKK members who are having a white power rally. And before that, we open to Henry Rollins.
I was about to say, yes.
Yeah. We open to Henry Rollins, who's like breaking down. He's like, all right. He's like, let me turn on my narration button. All right. Since everyone here knows what we're doing, let me recap for the 100th time. Since 9/11, he just like goes there. He's like, since 9/11, we've gone high tech, so they go low tech. But this is the night, baby. We're going to get them. All right, move out. And can I just ask y'all something? Is Henry Rollins, I don't know if this is my own headcanon, is he casted as a racist in a lot of stuff? Because I know he was no.
No.
Okay. No, because I don't know if you guys watch Sons of Anarchy, but he plays like a neo-Nazi in Sons of Anarchy, and he does it so well that I'm like, is he always is he always this type of character?
Well, I'll say this. He has not played a neo-Nazi in previous iterations. But folks may not know Henry Rollins. Like, if you're a member of the podcast, you may or may not know. You might remember him from Bad Boys 2, because you probably watched Bad Boys 2. But like, he was just known as, and y'all can correct me, he was known as like a punk rocker, but he wasn't like a banger head punk rocker. He was like standing straight, had the mic, had the cord on the mic wrapped around his hand,
wrapped around like,
and he
times.
would just stare angry and yell very still, like a very angry white man talking about a particular thing that pissed him off that day. That is Henry Rollins' whole steez, and he was beloved.
Oh yeah,
from that. So and like,
he would always show up and stuff,
standing still, angry. I know Pop Cult, y'all can't see me, but the fellas can see me right now. Oh, that was his whole thing. He would do that for an entire concert, and was loved. I don't know what to say.
So Henry Rollins is breaking down to the tactical, and I'm saying this because it's a plot point. It is the tactical narcotics team, right? And he's like, all right, look, TNT, we don't move until our UCs give us the word, and then we move in and we take these guys out. So we go to this white power rally, and they're like, white power, burning the cross, red dragons, all that stuff. And then our heroes emerge under the cloaks. Mike Lowrey and Marcus Burnett, Martin and Will Smith show themselves, and they go, blue power, freeze, we're the police. And this is and I just remember applause when Will Smith comes from underneath that robe. I just remember cheers and applause. Like, everyone was so happy to have the bad boys back.
So Michael Bay.
Yeah.
So
And
Michael
look,
Bay.
I know we're going to get critical, but I'm like, look, man, that whole narcotics team, the room that Henry Rollins was talking to, it was all white guys.
Go there, Mark.
It was all white guys. So why do the only two brothers on the team need to be in the Klan rally? Like, I was like,
why are they your UCs? Why?
Yes.
How are they so properly skilled that these two need to be the undercover agents for this Klan rally?
And I feel like they could be the UCs for literally any other situation. This is the one where you should not be anywhere else.
They're the Hispanic brothers with their accents. Like, come on, what are you doing?
I don't know if you guys ever watched the show Archer, but there's a character, a black woman named Donna in the show, and there's a episode where they have to go to Russia, and they're like, okay, all right, Donna, you go undercover, and she's like, as what? The only black woman in Russia? And it's like the same thing here. It's like, why would you make them the undercover? Whatever. It's a cool reveal, but when you peel back the layers, it makes no sense. But whatever. So Will Smith or Marcus and Mike are there, and they're like, all right, everyone freeze, and they try to call in Henry Rollins, but the radios aren't working, and so they're like, all right, where's our backup? And one of the Klan's members grabs Martin and puts a gun to his head, and he's dropping all the N-words, and poor, we're gonna talk about this, but poor Martin Lawrence, poor Marcus, he's like, yo, Mike, chill, put the gun down. And he's like, I'm gonna kill your friend, Will Smith. He's like, yeah, we came to die tonight. And Martin Lawrence like, no, not at all. Not at all. And I'll say the only time in my adult life I find anything Will Smith says in this movie relatable is, so the guy has the gun to Martin, and Will Smith is like holding the gun on him and everyone else. And everyone starts closing in, and Will Smith's like, whoa! He's like, stand back, stop all the moving. I was like, yeah, I get that. It's like, yo, hey, stop moving. Everyone, like, we're gonna figure this out. Everyone, stop the damn moving.
Yeah.
Too much moving going on.
I feel like I've done that with my kids. Like, everyone, stop moving. All right, let's figure this out. So
very much so.
They end up in a gunfight, and I don't know if you guys want to chime in here, but they pretty much end up in a gunfight. And Henry Rollins' team comes in, and Martin Lawrence gets shot in the ass by Will Smith.
This is also the scene, if you kind of go back to like when they first did the reveal, where Martin attempts to say the words to Bad Boys, the song.
Oh, yes.
And when we get the hey, like that's when we get that infamous line, which is just comical because you're like, We're back at it, boys.
We're back. And he doesn't know the words, and he's like, well, we usually only sing the chorus.
But yeah, I think like the getting shot in the ass is a plot device that will be repeated throughout the entire movie. But yeah, it also shows you that like Mike Lowrey was a little reckless, like in the old movie.
We're gonna talk about it.
Yeah, but Bad Boys 2. I'm like, oh, so now you in your 30s, you just got reckless. So that
everything from witnesses is like, okay, cool, we got 5 witnesses. Let's like get it together. It's like, sorry, man, I killed 4 of them, and then and then the 5th one is unconscious. Sorry, man. Like, it's just like, bruh.
We'll get to it later, but I'm just getting to tease you all.
Yeah,
I have a theory about Mike Lowrey. So we'll get there.
Okay.
I'll save for later, but
it's utter chaos. Will Smith saves Martin's life, but in the act he shoots Martin in the ass. It's utter chaos. Bodies and bullets, bullets everywhere. Henry Rollins' team comes in. They get everything settled, and there's only 2 bags of ecstasy there. And Henry Rollins like, there's a lot of cop power, and Will Smith's like, shut up. I'll worry about my snitch. Shut up, Henry Rollins. And Henry was like, no. Like, there's like 50 guys here, Will Smith, like for only 2 bags of ecstasy. Explain yourself. But Will Smith is he does what he wants in this movie. So him and Martin leave, and they take Martin to the hospital, And this is where this movie really takes a stab at therapy, because they flash back and they talk about, oh, Martin, you're so crazy. Oh, you know that therapy stuff, that's weird. A bunch of men talking about their feelings and hugging. What a freak you are, Marcus. And I'm just like, yo, what a time to be alive in the early 2000s, because this movie makes therapy look like it's something to be laughed at.
Well, I hear you, and that's partially true, but I will say this. Joey Pants was in this movie.
Yes.
And I remember Joey Pants in Bad Boys 1. And I remember Joey Pants in Bad Boys 2. There was a remarkable difference. He was much more calmer and center. Like, as a captain, he was just much more. And I was like, yo, is that the power of therapy? Because that dude looked like he was about to have a heart attack in Bad Boys 1 in every scene. Which, granted, that's just Joey Pants only. Like, that's just what he does. But I saw a remarkable difference in his character in Bad Boys 2.
And therapy is just one big punchline in these movies, and especially for Will Smith's character. But, you know, they do this flashback. Martin talks about his therapy session. Will Smith, he went to therapy, but he just had sex with his therapist because, you know, he's Mike Lowrey. You know,
Mike Lowrey.
So, you know, we open up to the next scene, and next day it's at Martin Lawrence's house. It's at Marcus's house, and Will Smith shows up, and Martin's trying to have a real conversation. He's like, "Look, Mike, He's like, "Oh, Sid!" He sees Martin Lawrence's sister, and he just goes into his house. So, fellas, I want to talk about this whole scene right here. This whole scene, because as a father, as a man who goes to work, work hard for my family, they're just dogging Martin. His whole Will Smith, his family are just dogging him the whole time. Like, "Oh, Dad, this cheap ass pool that you bought us." Mm-hmm. As they sit in their mansion on their Miami waterfront house on his police detective salary. What are you talking about? Under a gazebo of roses for their family barbecue. And I'm just like, yo, what is wrong with these kids? Because they don't have an in-ground pool, Martin Lawrence is a loser. He's a freaking loser. I paid $3,900 for this pool. Well, how much were the good pools, you bum? His daughter says to him.
I have two retorts on this. Number one, those aren't kids, those are teenagers. That is what their job is. And then number two, we never find out what the wife does. Because let me tell you this. I don't know how much cops get paid in Miami, but if anything has told me something, it is you cannot afford that on a cop salary.
He's on the take. He has, because the movie lays it out that Marcus's wife is pretty much a housewife. Because they don't give her nothing else. They don't say nothing else. So I'm just assuming she's a housewife. And on his Miami PD detective salary has a waterfront house in Miami. Nails, do you remember the mansion we stayed at in Miami was on the water? It was a mansion. It was a mansion.
One of the greatest places I've ever been in my life.
And this is just where he lives. They have to be on the take. Him and Will Smith have to be holding on to money after some of these buses.
Something got missing. Some evidence got missing is what you're saying.
Every time
they are bad boys.
It's like, hey, we recovered the drug money, all $500,000 of it. It's like, bro, it was $7.8 million. What do you mean?
No,
I mean we turned it 500.
It's like, I think you got your facts wrong, Captain.
You got your facts wrong, Captain. You got your facts wrong. And look at this extra $250,000 we found. And they just leave it. That's why the captain's got a nice house. That's why Joey Pantano lets them do whatever they want.
Makes a lot of sense.
But at this barbecue, Gabrielle Union's there, and Will Smith goes up to her. Apparently, they ran into each other in New York, and they're kind of dating now. But Martin Lawrence doesn't know. So, they're having their barbecue, whatever. And They're having their barbecue, and Martin Lawrence's dog destroys this pool that he bought. And everyone thinks it's just the funniest thing they ever saw. Even Martin's wife is just laughing her ass off. Oh, you're stupid, Paul. You loser. You loser. Like,
and talking about kicking while you're down. Because the man's he got shot in the butt recently. He's having
last night
issues with erectile dysfunction. Like,
yes.
Come on now. And you and he's just trying to do something for his family. The dog breaks the pool. That's almost a $4,000 pool. No dog. I don't care if it's Kojo. No dog should be able to destroy a $4,000 pool.
I'll tell you what, that dog is going in the river. Like, that dog is out of here, bro.
He's about to do him like Anchorman.
That dog is out of here.
You put it back.
Martin Lawrence, he calls Joey. What's wrong? Hey, the man kicked him.
But also on top of that, stop tying the dog up to the pool. Like,
yes,
don't
you
put
got
the
this
dog in
mansion yard. Why is the dog tied up? You have this riverfront mansion yard, and the dog's tied up to the pool.
There's got to be something else. You could literally just get a piece of wood, like put it down in your lawn. That is more sturdy than your pool. Come on now.
And then so the pool breaks, and Wilson's like, "That's funny. That's really funny. Your life's in shambles, Martin. Your erectile dysfunction. Your wife's laughing at you, and I'm banging your sister. Funny."
Yes.
And so Will Smith's informant calls him and tells him that something's going down. So they're like, "Hey, we got to go." And this is like maybe the 20th time I've seen this movie, and I just kind of put this together that, okay, at the same time, Gabrielle Union, who is DEA, she gets her call because she's working for the guy who Will Smith and Martin Lawrence are trying to bust, his like money launderer, right?
Something like that.
The guy from
he's one of
Peter Stormare from Armageddon.
Yeah, Peter Stormare is one of the distributors, I believe.
Yes, of Johnny Caprio.
Like probably the biggest distributor, at least in Miami. So like they are essentially business partners in Miami. So that's a little bit around that. So like that's how partly Gabrielle Union gets connected to all this. Is Peter heard about her in New York, heard about her skills, and so he was like, "Hey, come through." And that's how she started to get connected in the entire Miami.
And they don't know that they're kind of like overlapping each other's cases. So Martin gets the call from Ice Pick. He's like, brother, the move, brother. And so Martin Lawrence, Will Smith. I don't know what to call. What are we going to call them? Look, can we figure this out? Do I call them Will Smith and Martin, or I call them Mike and Marcus?
Both. I love it.
All right, whatever.
Do it. Intermingle.
So they get the call, and they go scope out the Haitians who are going to run on some money, drugs, whatever. And they happen to be running on Gabrielle Union's money drop. And fellas, let's get into it here, because all hell breaks loose, right? Gabrielle Union's doing the money drop, and the Haitians move in, and they just start killing everybody to steal this money.
Like, if you've never met a Haitian in your life before,
hold up,
and Michael Bay is your
I just the way you started that sentence, I just want to make sure you're clear
like, where am I gonna go with this? Don't worry. It'll be okay. If you've never met a Haitian before, and Michael Bay is your introduction to this ethnicity of people, then let me tell you, it is a very wrong interpretation of this group of folks. Haitian people don't want to fight. They've been fighting all their lives. And you know why they don't want to fight? Because winners don't like to fight. When you constantly win, you don't like to fight. And I don't see Haitians lose fights almost ever. I have seen many Haitians get in the fights. I haven't seen many Haitians lose fights because they don't know how to lose. I say all that to say that's how like I like his interpretation of Haitians are, we'll do anything for that dollar.
They're
We
land
will
pirates.
shoot an entire Miami highway just to get some of that money.
They're the, what are they called? The war boys from Mad Max. They're land pirate war boys. like ooh,
with
money,
military artillery.
Yes,
and training. It seems like
and the best like American muscle cars that ever existed. It I'm not gonna lie, it's kind of a cool game. They got like grade A military weapons, and they drive around in, like GTOs. They look kind of cool. Yeah. But no, you're right. It's like we're on a mission, and we will wipe out half of Miami to get this bag of money. But they attack. Gabrielle Union's on the move. Marcus and Mike are like, "Oh man, it's Sid. We gotta go. Let's go." So Gabrielle Union's running. The Haitians are chasing her, and Marcus and Mike are chasing them. And I'm like, they just break out into this huge gunfight. This is when Martin Lawrence and his Ferrari, his Ferrari pulls over, constructs some gun I've never seen before besides on Call of Duty Level 20. Like just this huge gun and just lays waste. That can't be police issued. Like, I'm sorry, you can't have. The
brother was driving a Ferrari. That car is not police issued.
Yeah,
that is his car.
Yeah,
there are his clothes.
There are serial numbers and VIN numbers that are scraped off. We're not going to tell you where it came from. Just know it's being used.
So I don't know if y'all know that there's a part where we're having this huge gunfight where Will Smith does the 360 in the car, lays waste, and then they all it's like the DEA is backing up Gabrielle Union, and then because they're blowing up Miami, other cops are like, oh my god, like World War III's going on, so they're like down there too. One of the DEA agents in a quick scene, he's like, "It's the end of the world out here."
Yes,
because they're just like it is a serious gunfight. It's a serious gunfight. But
can I just stop us for a second and just name this? Can you imagine for the folks who did not watch Bad Boy 1? This is what they thought Bad Boy was. They're like, is it just Will Smith with some enhanced, evolved version of a Tommy gun just shooting everybody in the Miami highway?
No, so I'm glad you brought that up because Bad Boys 1 plays kind of more like a detective. All right, like, okay, we're going to investigate. There's action in it, but this movie is it is just like you said. It's Will Smith. Here's your gun. Shoot whatever is in front of you, and we'll get it on film. So Gabrielle Union gets away with the money, and the Haitians go on the move after her, and they jump into what are those, like the tractor trucks that have all the cars that are going to the dealership.
Oh my god!
Just like a car transporter, I guess. Yeah.
And so they're chasing her. Will Smith and Martin Lawrence are chasing them. It's crazy, and then they start throwing these cars off of the truck. And I'm not gonna lie, this might be the highlight of the whole movie. This one chase, really enjoyable, but utter insanity.
Yeah, you can say that again. It was ridiculous. I mean, I remember, I don't know how old I was, maybe 17 at the time when I watched this movie. At a 17-year-old's mind, I was like, oh, this is too much. It's like, man, I need a seatbelt. Like, what are we doing? Get off the it should never be this. You know what I'm saying? Like, nothing in that truck should never lead to this. I was thinking that at 17, so you can imagine. Yeah, it was a lot going on.
Yeah, highway. I mean, they're just throwing these cars. It's pretty cool. And I remember watching like the making of this movie, and particularly this scene, and they really did this. They were like launching these cars off of Michael Bay, man. They seriously, there's a little bit of CGI, you can tell in some parts, but they were really launching these cars off of this truck on the major highway. And and Mark, I'm not gonna lie, this is where they really shine their love banter here, because because Martin is losing his mind because he's a human with a family. He's like,
Mhm.
Mike, and Wilson, like, I'm trying to dodge you. Shut up. And like the little banter back and forth is really good here. It's why Bad Boy, I think, is like such a popular franchise.
And I just want to say I feel like between this movie, that scene, and Final Destination 2, I believe it's just like nobody wants to drive on a highway, interstate, any of that. It's like it makes it look like the worst things happen, and also that is something that's somewhat common in our Michael Bay movies because like Transformers, like so many scenes, like everything got wrecked
on a major highway,
on 495 or 95 South. Like, man.
Yo, I like never want to go driving with Michael Bay.
No.
Let's think about how he sees the road. In almost all his movies, there is a car chase. Even when there doesn't need to be one. There is a car chase in almost every movie he's ever made.
Everyone.
And it's never like a OJ type of car chase. It is a
OJ slow and steady.
You know what I'm saying? Like what a real car chase looks like.
All right, everyone. Let's get
just going about 10 miles above the speed limit.
These
like
people out the way
crazy.
20 miles up the road. Come on.
It's like a president escort. Anyways, these are like there are cars on the road that have no idea that it's about to go down.
Yes.
And there is destruction and there is an explosion. At least one explosion. So yeah,
we can. So like they Gabrielle Union gets away. She drops off the money. They're like, "Oh, what kind of stuff are you into?" Blah blah blah. They realize that they're both kind of working the same case. So Martin Lawrence and Will Smith go back to the police station, and Joe Pantoliano just like lays into him. He's like, "Hey, what is the job description?" He's like, "Tactical narcotics team." And he circles. He's like, "Tactical." So he's like laying into him. And I love this scene so much because this was a funny scene in the movie theater. But he's like, "Thank God no police got killed." What car chase were you looking at? Because everyone died. Everyone. Nels, yo. The president called the governor. Brother. The president called the governor. Flags are at half mast. Like children aren't going to school for 2 days. It was a war scene. They destroyed Miami. Vin Diesel left Rio in better shape after Fast 5 than they left Miami. They destroyed this place. And everyone's like, "All right, guys, go talk to the captain."
That's not true, by the way. That's not true. But it's hilarious. Because it's probably close.
No, at least no one died.
No, but I gotta say this, Mark. There is literally a cop car that had been flipped over and had been dragged along for at least 50 yards. And no cops died. So I'm assuming this is, if you are in law enforcement, the rules of your safety is like the equivalent of the classic G.I. Joe cartoon series where you never see anybody die in the plane that gets shot up. They just magically disappear 3 seconds before everything explodes. So that must be the world that we're living in this Michael Bay Miami.
I just want to say that, looking back at this point, Marcus and Mike are a typhoon of destruction. I would rather live in Gotham City than live in the Miami that these two cops reside in and police. I would rather live in a city where I could run into the Joker on my way to work than live in this hellscape that these two cops. It is insane.
I completely disagree. I completely disagree. I would never live in Gotham.
No, I'm being hyperbolic, but I'm just saying, like I would have to think about it. It's like live in Gotham City. It's not an easy answer, right? It's like live in Gotham City or live in Miami with Detective Marcus and Mike. And you would
It is
have,
a
you'd be like,
very easy answer, Mark Jones. Gotham is ridiculous, bruh. The Joker is one of the many psychotic villains. And you got one guy
but Nails,
who is
Nails,
defending them. Nah,
can I
bruh.
say this? At least the Joker takes breaks. He does his heist, and then he's gone for a couple months. This is day to day for these guys. This is every single day.
My assumption is this. not to like further along the point. My assumption is this. We have only gotten 3 Bad Boy movies. Maybe there's just a span of time where it's quiet, but when you know things tick up, you're like, okay, the next 4 days are about to be crazy in Miami. We just need to chill at home and do nothing.
Living in this Miami in this movie must be like living in The Purge. It's like for the next 34 hours, Detective Mike and Marcus are out working. So good luck. Good luck.
Hunker down.
Hunker down. Stay in your basements. Mike, Larry, and Marcus Burnett are out working.
And it really is like, it's not even like, oh, you're in danger because you went out on the street. It's like they're probably gonna crash through your house. Like even
Yes,
you
thank
just
you.
chilling there.
Thank you,
Like,
Shannon. Thank you.
you're like, bro, I was just chilling, like watching something on Netflix, and they drove through my front door. Like,
They're gonna
Oh,
break
man.
through your daughter's quinceañera and like choke the guy into the cake. It's terrible.
Yeah, that's
but-
right. That's true. And someone's gonna die. At least
So-
one person gonna die.
So Joey, Ralph Cifaretto, you know, and I'm gonna get like this whole scene with them. I heard a lot of this was improvised, where he's talking to them, and Will Smith's like, he's like, that wasn't all us. Like that's a DEA car right there. I heard all that was improvised, and Martin's like, well, I was at a family barbecue.
And we also get like a further reference to Wusa. And the only
Wusa,
reason I
yes.
bring up Wusa is because if you want to know one of the things that was culturally relevant and carried through from this movie, I could tell
It's
you
Wusa.
this. A lot of folks were doing Wusa for many years. Even to this day, you, member of the pop cult, may be going Wusa, and you may have never known where you got it from. This is where you got it from.
Yeah, so Joey Pants, Ralph Cifaretto, he tells him, he's like, get these animals out of my city, Dylan, this coke, whatever it takes, which was the wrong thing. He basically gave them a license to kill. He said, whatever it takes. So they go to see Will Smith's snitch. And again, these 2 cops go to a local business and just start vandalizing. They just, you know what I noticed? You know what I realized? You know, when we watched movies back in the day about like the civil rights movement, and the cops would come in and disrupt the black businesses and harass, that's them. These are those cops. They do the exact same stuff, but it's just, it's in the 2000s.
That's a hard truth, man.
It's the same thing. They
a hard
literally-
truth.
They walk into someone's house and just start murdering people. You know, so they Will Smith snitches named Ice Pick, and Ice Pick's like, oh, I'm sorry, you know, go see this guy. They go to the guy's house, bam, they run in, and this is where we get that very cool 360 gunfight scene.
I'm just gonna throw this out here. This is one of my favorite gunfight scenes ever, and by far one of my favorite action scenes that Michael Bay's ever done. And yes, I know the man did make Transformers 3. I hear you, but I'm just saying this is one of my favorite action scenes from any of Michael Bay's work.
It definitely came off of the heels of The Matrix, but this was really fresh when this came out. No one did anything like this at the time. This whole going through the wall, coming around, seeing the other guys. It was really cool. Like I'll give credit where credit's due. This was really amazing when it first came out. And so this is the famous like, who's in my house? And Mike Larry, because he's a maniac on the purge. I'm the devil. You're a cop.
You're a
What
cop.
are you talking about?
You're a cop. Why were those the first words that came to your head? Like, how dare you?
Not even Miami PD. We're coming in.
Miami
No,
PD.
it's the devil.
Yes, Shannon. Not Miami PD, put your guns down. I'm the devil. Who wants to know? Like, and Martin Lawrence is like, Martin Lawrence is just like, why are you calling yourself the devil in his house? Like, what are you doing?
You instantly made it worse. Instantly. Like, Marcus wants to go home, bruh. Marcus wants to go home, and Mike wants to be Batman. Like, there's a very, like, two different things.
No, Nels, not Batman. He wants to be the Punisher. No,
Yes.
he
Like,
wants to be
let's
the
be honest.
Punisher.
Let's be serious here. He wants to use a gun, and he wants to avenge everyone. He wants to avenge them. So yes, he
Mike
is the Punisher.
Lowry cleans his guns at night, smells them, licks them. Like, he is a sadistic madman.
He tucks them in at night. Like, this is
he lays them out like how you do your outfit the night before the first day of school. Just like lays them out in the bed. It's like, I'm gonna use it.
You know that scene in, was it Suicide Squad, where the Joker's laying with all those knives on the ground? Mike with all his guns just laid out. And so they basically waste this house of 20 people. And poor Marcus, he has to go along because I gotta get home. I think he literally says, like, I gotta get home to my baby. So he has to kill people too, because Will Smith insisted on busting in the house and calling himself the devil.
And like, they kill almost all of them.
There's only one left. Nels, there's like 20 guys in that house, and
there was a house full of Haitians. Again, very unrealistic. From my experience with Haitians, very unrealistic. A house full of Haitians with guns, and 2 of them, and all the Haitians die. What?
So, the one guy's left, and they question him. And now you talk about quoting this movie. I still, to this day, like, he don't let no one touch his camera.
You killed my brothers.
You killed my.
But they like, I feel like the accent is like Michael Blackson. Like, that's what it really sounds like to me.
Yes.
You mother.
Yes.
But,
so go ahead, Shannon.
Oh, no, I was gonna say, the other to me, the other funny thing talking about the lines and everything is just when they start having that point, it's like, talk to him. Like, let's just talk it out. And he's like, well, they can't talk, he says whatever, and he's like, they can't hear you because they're still shooting at you.
Yeah, like Martin's the idiot, but like, you started this.
Yes.
You started all this.
You brought it there.
We could have knocked on the door and talked, but you started all this. And he's like, yeah, you idiot, because they're shooting at you. Now get your gun and spill some blood.
Yep. This is the time. I have to talk to. Here's my theory on Mike Lowry. Okay. So again, Mark, you reiterated this. The team is called TNT. The first T is tactical. Tactical. My thought is this. I know Mike Lowry's parents must have donated to the police department. They must have, because ain't nothing tactical about Mike Lowry.
No.
Ain't a thing tactical. He's not qualified for this job.
Yeah.
So how did he get this job? You know what I'm saying?
No. You know what my headcanon is, Nels? I think Joey Pants knew Mike's dad. Because there's just no other explanation. Like, it's just poor Joey Pants. I'm surprised he doesn't have an aneurysm in this movie. He's just
that might be the case, but not just knows his dad. His dad saved his life.
Yeah.
His dad, he owes his life to Mike Lowry's dad, if that's the case. Or the Lowrys, who are rich, we know they're rich because they left Mike a trust fund. The Lowrys gave a lot of money to somebody who runs Miami, and lot of money.
Of course, the Lowrys would give a fortune to Miami PD. Like, of course they would. But I do want to bring up back to Joey Pants. He has, through this whole franchise, I haven't seen Bad Boys 3, but in these first 2, he has great lines. And just one line we skipped over that I want to, when he's talking, when he's mad at Marcus and Mike for the destruction they've caused, he says, I got a police chief so far up my ass that when he spits, it comes out my mouth.
Yes. And
To
like,
this
I'm
day-
sure he improvised that.
Yeah.
And he sounded so natural and
Yo,
casual when he was saying it.
20 years later, to this day, like that line, I'm like, that is one of the funniest things I've ever heard in my life. But so they take the camera because Mike shot it, you know, with his gun. So they take a camera to like a local Circuit City Best Buy. You are cops. Go to the station. You have resources, but no, we gotta go to a Best Buy, and they tell this kid like, "Hey, we need to see what's on this camera," and the kid plugs it into the main.
Yeah, doesn't go to the back office.
Yeah.
Doesn't go to like any of the TVs that are not in the main setup of the system. No, he needs to do it right there in the open. Everybody's dumb. Everybody's dumb.
Everyone's dumb. Everyone's dumb. And I can't remember. I think they either see the main villain, Johnny Tapia. They either see his house or they see one of the morgue offices, one of the morgues that he owns. But then it cuts to this woman getting smashed by the Haitian dude, and it's just like, you know, it's HBO real sex late at night in the 90s all over these TVs, and little kids are on there like, oh my god, and I hate when this happens in movies. They're like, I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do. Just pull the plug. Pull the plug. He's like, oh, I don't know what to do. And so,
but sorry, Mark. I just want to say,
go ahead.
He did the exact opposite of that. He plugged in another plug. Like, why? That's what caused it to go on like all the TVs. Like, he got nervous.
Yeah.
Like, I'm just gonna plug in another plug.
So everyone's seeing like this sex act on all in the whole store. And I was like, oh my god. And so Mike and Marcus go into a room, and they start and Marcus just breaks down and pleads his heart to Mike. He's like, look, Mike, I'm stressed. You know, I got a family. You shot me in the ass. And I just, you know, I got erectile dysfunction and blah, blah, blah. And Will Smith is just like, hey, man, don't ever come to me with your problems or your emotions ever.
That's not what he said, Mark.
That's essentially what he said, though. He's like, don't ever bring that shit up ever again. If you got a problem, you keep that to yourself.
He's told him about one thing he didn't want him to talk to him about. He's like, I don't want to hear the word flaccid. I don't want to hear that you're having erection issues. That's what he said.
But Nels, come on. He says, don't ever tell me your problems. I don't have time for that. I'm Mike Larry, and they're being broadcast all over the store, and it's a essential early 2000s. There's a lot of gay jokes in there, and
I did a count at this point in the movie because if folks remembered in the previous Michael Bay episode, I said Michael Bay is an equal opportunist racist stereotyper. So at this point, Michael Bay had made fun of Haitians, Cubans, black folks, Florida white people, and for like a third time, it was earlier on, it was less direct, but then he just straight up goes for the LGBTQ community.
Yeah.
That is what? 5 specific oppressed ethnic groups that he has came after. The man loves to make fun of folks. So yes, sorry, that is just
no
what the data has told me.
And so they figure out that they need to go to Johnny Tapia's house. Johnny Tapia, you know, the king of Miami. And real quick, you know, this guy who plays Johnny Tapia, I forget his name, but I feel like he has been one of those actors who's played every race. He's just kind of like racially ambiguous. So he's been like Middle Eastern, Hispanic. It's just everything. But they call it like a soft warrant or something.
Yeah.
And they're able to go into his house and wiretap his house. So Marcus and Mike dress up as exterminators because Johnny Tapia has so much money. I can't get my shipments out of Miami to Cuba. The rats eat my money. They eat my money. This is a stupid problem to have. I'm sorry. I love quoting this movie. But the rats are eating his money. And so he gets exterminator, and they fill in for that. And they come into the house. They're like, "Hey, we're the exterminators. They're gonna put some wiretaps." And guys, it's a standard police movie up until this point, until Martin Lawrence sees two rats going to town missionary style.
He said, "Oh, Mike, they get down just like us." He
Hey,
driving out of.
I'm not gonna lie. The way these two rats are going to town, I would have to record it. This was pre-cell phones, like smartphones. So yeah, I would have to call somebody and tell them what I was seeing. But I'm not gonna lie, if I saw animals smashing like these two rats were doing, I would have to record it because they were. He's like, "Yo, he's like, they doing just like us. He's smashing it."
No. Please believe. Look, a lot of times if I'm Marcus, I would be like, "Yo, I need to do things differently than how Martin did." This is one of the few times I was like, "No, everything needs to stop. We need to talk about this." Like, I cannot believe I'm seeing what I'm seeing right now. Someone needs to talk to me about this. This is amazing. What?
We're potentially we're right at the cusp of bringing down the biggest ecstasy dealer in Miami history. Stop what you're doing and live like these rats are smashing like human. I'm not gonna lie, these two puppet rats smashing is pretty funny. It's pretty.
Honestly, this is why cell phones exist.
Yeah.
So we could be more functional human beings. We could just be like, can't wait to show that to the group chat later.
But during all this, while Martin is watching these rats smash, Peter Stormare, who is talking to Johnny Tapia and trying to renegotiate, his partner is killed, and Johnny Tapia makes him sign over all his clubs. And he's like, you will pay for this, Johnny Tapia, blah, 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 because I'm still Russian stereotype from last movie. And Johnny Tapia's like, I'm so sorry, people are trying to jack my loads. But basically, Martin and Marcus get found out, and they run out the house. So they of course, because Mike Lowry's a maniac, he steals a human finger. And they discover that, it's tied to a Russian mob boss. And this is where the movie kind of loses me. You guys help me fill in the blanks. I think they talk to Gabrielle Union and tell her what's going on, right?
Yep.
And
I think at that point, that's when Johnny Tapia meets Gabrielle Union, I believe.
Yes. Yeah. And I don't know why this scene's in the movie, but this is the scene where Will Smith comes out in his, Steve Harvey Prince suit.
Hey, man, that suit was fly. That suit was fly.
It was.
I don't know if it actually was fly or the movie just wanted me to think it was fly. But either way, my mind thought it was fly. It's objectively
a nice suit. But it's like you're literally going to just talk to Gabrielle Union. Why do you need to be in this suit? But this is where we hear, the
my Larry.
My Larry. This is where we hear "Shake Your Tail Feathers."
Yes.
The I want to say the theme of this movie, the theme song of this movie.
Yeah. I was gonna at some point say this episode is brought to you by Nelly and Shake Your Tail Feathers.
Yeah, we talk about it a little bit. So it was. I don't know if y'all remember. I think Puffy or P Diddy, whatever. I think he was the executive producer for music on this movie.
He was,
right.
Yep.
Yeah.
It was a Bad Boys, they were the machine behind the soundtrack for this movie.
And do y'all want to talk about Shake Your Tail Feathers for a second?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Shannon's like, yes.
He's like, yes.
Been patiently waiting.
Shannon's stacking his notes together. He's like, yes, I've been waiting for this.
Yo, I'll start off just saying this. Shake Your Tail Feather had this whole era in a chokehold. So one, let's say in the movie, I was trying to count, I lost count, but I think 4 times. I think it was played 3 or 4 times throughout.
No, yeah, it comes up a lot, Shannon. It's like the overture of this movie. It pops up at the beginning, at the end. It's always there.
Yeah. It was. I feel like there's only. I'm sure there have been many more, but there's only 2 songs I can think of that were just like in a movie so many times. There's Shake Your Tail Feather, Bad Boys 2, and then I think Like a Man, the Best You Ever Had, that song by John Legend. I believe that was. I believe
Oh
that was
yeah.
yeah. That
Shannon,
song
can
was in
I
there
can
like
I
3 or 4 times, but
can
yeah.
I chime in a second? The only time I've heard a song as played as many times as Shake Your Tail Feathers is in this movie is 2 movies. One is Ghostbusters, the
Oh.
Ghostbusters theme, and the other is Space Jam, the Space Jam soundtrack. Shake Your Tail Feathers is all over this movie.
Mhm.
You're right. It comes in like 4 or 5 times.
I hear y'all.
Constantly.
I think Shake Your Tail Feathers beats all those movies y'all just said. just to be honest with y'all, it was every couple minutes. Like Shake Your Tail Feathers. I don't know what was more frequent. The fact that there was an explosion and a car chase in Bad Boys 2, or the playing of Shake Your Tail Feather. But I'm almost certain Shake Your Tail Feather was played more times than there was car chases.
Oh man.
But yeah, I just envision that it's all throughout this movie. And then I think of in 03, 04, like just in life outside of this movie, I feel like it was everywhere. It was in a party. Anytime you're like, oh, like you know how he starts. Yeah, I'm like,
I'm not gonna lie, the song's got a nice intro. Like it starts off really good, really nice, you know. But what was it? It was Diddy, Nelly, and Murphy Lee, right?
Murphy Lee, yep.
Murphy Lee, the only one that have some type of breath out of the Saint Lunatics.
What the hook gonna be?
What the
That's
hook
about
gonna be?
it. That's about it. But you know what? I will say, like, one, shout out to Murphy Lee, because they'd be like, "He the man when I'm really a Thundercat." That lives in my head. That lives in my head to this day. So I gotta give props to him for that.
And so, you know, they tell Gabrielle Union, they're like, hey, you know, Johnny Tapia's about to go to war with the Russian mob, and you're about to be in the middle of this. She's like, okay, thank you. And this is where Will and Martin they find out that they stole a bunch of like shredded paper from Johnny Tapia's house. I don't know, man. The movie's like he's got a boat, and we got to go stake out this boat. And this is when they bring in the 2 cops from part 1, the 2 Hispanic cops who they just jab racist jokes at each other. And I'm not gonna lie, to this day, the way Martin drops this line, I forget their lines, the 2 Hispanic cops are like, hey, you guys, you know, we're gonna have a couple sandwiches and a couple of grape sodas. And Will and Martin like
they said extra crispy. They said extra
like,
crispy.
Get lunch extra crispy.
But the way Martin, he's laughing and mocking, he's like, couple of grape sodas, like yo. To this day, the way he hits that line is so funny to me. Oh, he's a couple of grape sodas. But like they bring these guys in and like, hey man, we gotta like stake out Johnny Tapia's morgue and find this vote. So I think this is when Martin and Will Smith go kidnap, what's his name?
Yeah, the racist
Zod.
Michael Shannon.
They go bail out Michael Shannon because Michael Shannon was one of the Klan members in the beginning of the movie. He got arrested and he got his ear blown off by Mike Larry because Mike Larry's a crazy madman. He blew his ear off. So they kidnap Michael Shannon. And then they take their picture with him. And it's so funny because in the early 2000s, we thought, oh, this is a digital photo and we could do whatever we want with this digital photo. And Michael Shannon, we're going to have photos of you with Busta Rhymes at the BET Awards. And of course, to Michael Shannon, that's the worst thing that could ever happen to him. He's like, no, God, please, not Busta Rhymes.
Whatever you want.
Not Busta Bus.
I will give you the biggest drug lord in Miami. Just please don't put me in a picture with Busta Rhymes.
Don't, please don't put me in a Sprite commercial with Busta Rhymes. So they essentially kidnap Michael Shannon because he knows like the drops for this drug deal. And this is where we get to the movie actually slows down for a second. For a second, it slows down, and Gabrielle Union comes with them, and she's sitting down with Will Smith, and Martin's, doing his thing. And can we talk about the scene, fellas? I
know you've been waiting, Mark. I can tell you've been waiting. No, you've been waiting to talk about this scene.
I understand where Will Smith is coming from in this scene. Just like Gabrielle, I feel like I've lived this moment where Gabrielle Union's like, "Oh no, it's fine. Let's just tell him." And Will Smith's like, "No." He's like, "Yo, your brother's going through some stuff. Like, we will tell." She's like, "No. Don't be afraid. He's just my brother." And she's like, "Hey, me and Mike got together in New York, and we had dinner, and we're seeing each other." And I love the part where Will Smith, because I feel like all of us have been there. Will Smith's covering his mouth. He's like, "You don't messed up. You don't messed up." Is he coming down?
Yeah, he's coming down there, right? He's not coming down right now.
He's trying to look like he's not talking. Oh, like, God. Down here? He's like, "You don't messed up now." Oh my God, is he walking down here?
Oh my God. So, and justifiably so, Marcus is like, he's like so numb to this at this point. He's like, "Sure, okay, Mike, you put me in dangerous situations for like the past, I don't know, however long they've known each other, since 1988. Like, you put me in like all these. Well, the movie will tell you
they've known each other since high school. So that's what we get from this movie. Yeah.
So, and he's like, "Sure, now mess up my family. Like, you haven't done that yet. Go ahead, like, mess up my family. At this point, there's everything you touch turns to dust. So fine, sure, go ahead." And this is the part that I want to talk. This is the part I want to talk about. Mike gets mad.
Yes,
Mike gets mad. What's your problem? He's like, "I'm not good enough for your sister. Why are you so upset about this?" Yeah. Like, he gets
the Punisher.
Mad.
The Punisher's not good enough for your sister. I committed a purge last week, and I'm not good enough for your kid's sister, Marcus. Like, yo, Marcus is a saint. He is like a saint. Yeah. Like, he's like, "You know what, Mike? You know what? He's like, do you? He's literally, "I'm just gonna walk away. Do you, Mike? Y'all are both grown adults. Do you?" And Mike's like, "No, hey, come back, talk to me. We gonna settle this." He's like, "Yo, let me go, Mike. Let me." Yeah. He's just trying to be calm. He's just like, let's just arrest this drug dealer, and we can both go our separate ways. And Mike's like, "No, why are you being so stupid?" I'm like, yo, Mike is a madman, dog. Yeah. He is an insane human being.
Like Sid as well. Like, I'm saying, not Sid being a madman, but Sid, she was telling him, she was like, "Leave him alone. Like, okay, you just said it. Leave him alone. Let's just get back to the thing." Like, everybody's like, "Mike, leave him alone." It's like, no.
And the nerve of Mike
right now.
The nerve of Mike to be like, "I'm not good enough for your sister." Marcus is a sane human being. He's known you for over half of his life. He has seen you be like not have a stable relationship with any woman ever. And you have put him in life-risky situations.
Yes.
Your entire career with him. Bro, no, you're not good enough for his sister. Like, what? Why would he want you to be anywhere near his sister?
You smashed your therapist because you killed you had to go see because you killed 30 people, and you smashed the therapist. I don't want you anywhere near my sister. Like, are you kidding me? Are you serious right now? And he's like, "Yo, we gonna handle this. We gonna handle this, Marcus." And I was like, yo, I feel as a husband, as a father, Martin Lawrence has the patience of a saint in this movie, dog.
Therapy's working.
It's working.
Therapy's working.
His therapy is working. It's doing all the right things, because he should get a gun and destroy Mike right now.
But yo, Marcus, Bad Boys 1, Marcus, that would have been a fight. That he wouldn't have ended that without either pulling a gun on him or fighting him. Bad Boys 2, Marcus, walked away. I'm telling you. And I know you said Michael Bay was making fun of therapy, and I get it. He kind of was. This was a commercial for therapy for me. I was like, what?
I feel like it could have been this scene is brought to you by Talkspace.
Yes, man.
I'm Michael Larry, and I support BetterHelp. You know? But like, Nels, I feel you. But then it's like, yes, but you got to do the work to figure that out, because the movie makes it look like Marcus is a chump. It's like, look at this chump. Look, why don't you let Mike smash your sister? God, what's wrong with you? Like,
Yeah, because Michael Bay makes movies for 14-year-old boys.
Yeah. And so, they see the boat getting the drugs, and they get back to land because they're on like a boat or something. So they get back to land, and this is where Michael Bay makes a cameo. Will Smith tells Marcus, "Still a car." So he pulls up the first car that pulls up, and it's Michael Bay in this car. And because Mike Larry is not he's an undercover cop. He's like, "Oh, I can't be in that stupid jalopy. Get a better car. I'm Mike Larry." What are you talking about? Like, why would I want an inconspicuous car, you idiot?
Yeah. I mean, so in Mike Larry's defense, Marcus knows he should know by now. And he's still leaving out hope that he's changed. Like, this man, he's not going to even accept being in this car. So I at that point I was like, business as usual.
They steal a car. It's a Cadillac, and Dan Marino is in it driving it. Dan Marino has cameo, but essentially they're following the drugs, and then they're made by Johnny Tapia's guys, and another Saving Private Ryan gunfight breaks out in Miami
with dead bodies.
With dead bodies, and so now they're traced. So let me back up. They find out that basically Johnny Tapia owns a morgue, and what he's doing, he's gutting these John Does, and he's stuffing them with his drugs. Which I'm like, man, that's probably, I don't know anything about drug trade. That seems like a legit way to like get your drugs across.
Just throwing this out there, this actually happened. This is how we brought heroin into this country. So American Gangster. This is like the plot.
Oh,
this is how this is how drugs were brought into the country. This is how, what's his name? What's Denzel's character's name?
Frank Lucas.
Frank Lucas. This is how Frank Lucas brought in heroin.
Dang, man, I haven't seen American Gangster in a minute. Really? This is how we did it.
Of veterans. Yeah. Now, it wasn't in their bodies. It wasn't in their body. That was like a little extra.
Because
it was in the caskets.
Even a real gangster, Frank Lucas, has respect for the dead, but not Michael Bay.
Yeah. Yep.
Not Michael Bay. Gut him up, gut him out, and stuff the drugs in there. But so they're chasing this morgue van that has these dead bodies in it, and the bodies start falling out the truck. Right? Marcus and Mike are made. And they're like, get out of here. And these bodies start falling all over the place. They hit one with the car. They run over one. The head pops off. It's a scene. And and so then they crash into a bank and just have a gunfight. I'm telling you, these guys are a menace to society, man. They're just terrible people. They have a gunfight in a bank. People are just, Shannon, people are just trying to cash their checks, pay for their daycare. They're trying to just get money out the bank, but not in Miami. You should abide by the purge rules.
Not a Tuesday in Miami. There's justice to be made. Nah, please believe that.
Can you imagine like being an older adult, because that's usually who is like in the bank, like being an older adult, like, I just wanted to come to the bank and ask about this. I guess this charge. I had this weird $3 charge, and then all of a sudden you stuck in the middle of a shootout.
It's like, ha, the bad boys.
Yeah,
That's what they call them.
Some kids got his $50 that his grandma gave him. I'm here to open up my first bank account. It's like, oh my goodness. Well, welcome to the First Bank of Miami, little boy. Let's get you started. It's a typical Tuesday in Miami with Mike Lowry on the case.
Yep.
Okay, I've been having this question. I'll go ahead and ask it now because I don't know we'll get to it later. Just what happened to ecstasy? Like, because that's like the drug and everything. But like, what happened to X? Because I feel like during this period as well, and like early 2000s stuff like that, like rappers were rapping about like popping X and this and that. And then I'm like, I haven't heard that in a long time. Like, I haven't heard anybody talk about.
I guess Molly replaced it.
I guess yeah. Molly, then I guess Perks, and then I don't. But it's just fine. I was like, yeah, whatever happened to ecstasy? I don't hear anybody talk about X anymore. But that was the whole premise of this, though.
But Shannon, it's funny you bring that up because if I'm the mayor of Miami and this is what Marcus and Mike do to rid the city of ecstasy, I'm like, let them have it. Just
there's other drugs to work on.
There's other things to worry about. Let them have it. You guys are destroying infrastructure, transportation. You wrecked a train. Like, let it go. Look, I'm not saying I'm like pro ecstasy, but for the amount of like the collateral damage that Mike and Marcus are causing, like, let it go. It's not worth it. It's not worth it at all.
No. Not at all.
But so they chase these guys. They have this big gunfight. They chase one guy onto a train, and Will Smith, because he's a madman, throws him under the train tracks. And I love it because Martin is chasing after them, and he catches up, and he's like, "Where he at?" And Will Smith, he's like, "He's underneath there." He's like, and he's like, "That's our only witness, Mike. Like, that's the reason why we chased it after this man, and he's now underneath the train tracks." And he says, like, "This has been the most stressful cop week I've ever had in my life."
Mind you, Will Smith almost died.
Yeah.
He is laying in front of a train. And his first words wasn't like, "You okay?" or like, "Oh my God, that must have been crazy." He's like, "Did it again. You did it again."
Because you're alive, someone was murdered. Who did you murder, Mike? Marcus?
He's so used to it. He's like, "Mike, you did it again." Like,
God. You cannot. He like gets the. It says to protect and serve, Mike.
What are you on, bro? Like, I'm sure he has to talk to him. Like, what are you on? What are you doing?
And then, this is one of my favorite scenes because then Joey Pants shows up, and he's like, "This is one of my favorite times in the movie." He's like, "What is wrong with you two? Do you both wake up in the morning? What up, Marcus? What up, Mike? How you doing?" All right. I remember that. And I got a huge laugh in the audience. Like, "Well, how you doing?" All right.
Joey Pants, man.
He's like, how are we gonna ruin the captain's life today? He said, "Oh, let's get dead people and throw them out of a moving vehicle." And so, Marcus and fellas, I want to talk about this scene because Mike is like trying to explain. He's like, "Captain, this is Johnny Tapia's guys," and blah blah blah. And Joey Pants is like, he explains police work to them in this scene. He's like, "Do you understand that when a dead body shows up, I have to call like 50 people?" he's like, "Do you understand?" He's like, "I don't care if you killed them or you didn't kill them. When a dead body just appears, I have to like the taxpayers.
I do work.
I do
I have
work. The
things to
taxpayers
do.
have to pay for 50 people to come out and detective forensics. He's like, this shit costs money.
Oh God. He's so done with them. He had to break down police work to them. that is a terrifying annoyance that man has with them.
He's like, y'all don't. He's like ambulances, EMTs, forensics, DNA. Patrol officers to the block of a scene. He's like, this costs money.
He's done. He's all the way done.
He's so done, dog. He's so done. But Will Smith tells him that he's like, sir, it's Johnny Tapia, and he's like, whoa. Johnny Tapia, every time we go after him, he sues us. He's like, stop it. Don't go after him anymore. And I love this line because Will Smith's like, well, what happened to whatever it takes? And Joey Pants is like, that was before vehicular manslaughter, before you started running over 10 bodies, whatever it takes. And so this is when Martin tells Will Smith, like, hey man, I can't do this. I like this Mike, all of this can't be my Tuesday anymore. So like he's like,
and I agree. He should have done that years ago.
Years
ago. You got 3 kids. What are you doing?
Ago. Man, he's like, after we nail this case, I'm transferring. I cannot be your partner. And it hits Will Smith. He's like, oh man. And he shows up to Martin's house. And he's like, you serious about that? And Martin's like, yeah, man. He's like, I kind of like how the movie plays this. Martin's not taking it personal. He's like, look, man. He's like, I can't do this. He's like, you are just too wild. I love you, Mike, but I can't be your partner.
Right after that is my favorite scene in the movie. So Marcus's daughter is getting ready for like her first date. She's going to a movie theater. Is this guy named Reggie? The mom's really excited. The daughter's really excited. And they give Marcus specific instructions. Do not embarrass her. Everyone already knows that her dad is a cop. And that being said, Marcus proceeds to do some of the most foul stuff I've ever seen or heard dad do.
Maybe the biggest laugh in the movie. Probably, yes. I remember the theater exploding during this scene. It like you said, his daughter has, the boy Reggie come in. Martin Lawrence opens doors like, what the F you want? Yeah, I'm Reggie. The guy talks like he's Karl Malone. I'm Reggie. So,
and he's probably as tall as Karl Malone.
Yeah. Or like he says, I'm Reggie, I'm taking Megan out. So what'd you say? And they just mess with this guy. They're just going at this guy. Will Smith acts like her drunk uncle, waving the gun in his face. Like,
dog, the funniest really thing, good. He's quoting a ludicrous song to Reggie. When you get in the highway, get out of my way, like with the gun in his face. Oh my goodness. Yo,
I know. How old are you? 15. You look 30.
Yeah. Oh, man. Oh man, I quote that so much. Like, nigga, you look 30.
I know Michael Bay, somewhere in the world of Michael Bay, he has 15 minutes of them going in on Reggie. Like, I'm sure we just got like some of the hits, but because Will Smith and Martin, that's their bag. Let them improvise on like just talking smack to somebody. They can do that forever. So I'm sure Michael Bay has like 15 minutes of that. And Michael Bay, if you're ever listening, brother, we would love to see that. It's not too late. Yes, I know that you're making Transformer movies. Let me tell you something. We would love to see those 15 minutes of them just going in on Reggie. That would be perfection. So Michael Bay, please release it when you have a chance.
And I want to say that scene was improvised. Like, majority of that scene, that whole Reggie interrogation scene. But there's some class A lines of that scene where Reggie first shows up and it's just Martin. And he's like, you smoke that stuff? Huh? And he starts patting down Reggie. He's like, you young Thundercat. You know everything. think you know everything. There's a line I really love it. It's like hidden in all the like scramble everything, but they're yelling at Reggie and Will Smith's like, "You fight, huh?" And Martin's like, he's like, "Speak the F up, Reggie."
Yeah. Will Smith like,
Oh.
he's bucking at him.
No, that was a great scene. That was a great scene. But then they decide to finish the case strong, and they decide to break into Johnny. They can have a soft warrant. They can break into Johnny Tapia's
mortuary,
and they can't touch anything, but they can put on surveillance and blah blah blah. So, fellas, so they break into this morgue, and again, Mike Larry. Mike Larry
I'm almost positive. Yeah, and I know you're about to go on, but I'm almost positive in the learning of becoming a detective. Like, you do not have the skills of a mortician. Like, I'm sure you are not given training to handle a dead body.
Oh no. Organs. Yo, so like you said, Mike, they're like, this Mike's a madman. He's like, let's open up one of these bodies and get these drugs. And he's just chucking organs at Mark. He said, that's a liver, that's a kidney. And like a person, Martin Lawrence is like, I'm gonna throw up. And Mike, because he's a psychopath, he's like, oh hey, suck it up and hold this human heart.
Poor Marcus.
He's a madman. He's a madman. But we get to and just to show you how sadistic Mike is, he uncovers a dead body, and it's a woman who happens to be well endowed, and Martin Lawrence catches him looking at this dead corpse's breast, and he's like, Mike. He's like like a dog. He has to stab him out of it.
Terrible.
He's like, cover her up. He's like, what? And he's like, what? He's like, why are you staring? She's dead. He's like, oh, I'm not. I'm just doing my job. I'm like, yo, you're a madman. Mm-hmm. But they find the drugs, but I guess the staff is about to come in and catch them, so they hide. They find the drugs and money, and somehow through all this, I think Martin Lawrence accidentally ingests
after the second time he threw up. Yeah, after the second time he threw up, he was like, maybe I should get some water. And in the midst of Will Smith grabbing stuff out of bodies, he grabs a bag with ecstasy in it, and 2 pills of ecstasy fly out of the bag and go into a cup that Martin ingests.
He's ripping out organs like he's playing Mortal Kombat. He's just like, take this. But they find it. So Martin ingests ecstasy, and they go to see Joey Pants because they're like, hey, we have the evidence. And Martin's going crazy in Joey Pants' house. He's basically he overdosed on ecstasy. And Will Smith's trying to talk to Joey Pants, and Martin's in the background just doing all this hilarious stuff. And it's kind of a nothing scene, because you would think in a regular movie, like, Joey Pants would be like, you're taking drugs, get out of my house, you're off the case. But he's just like, oh, Martin overdosed on E? Okay, let's call the poison control. And I don't know, like, I feel like it leads to nothing. Like, it really didn't have to be in the movie. It's just
not at all.
Nothing.
But I'm glad they kept it.
Yeah. It was worth laughs, but did not really further the plot.
Yeah,
at all.
And so
that was a Michael Bay call, because Michael Bay was laughing. He's like, "Look, studio, I can't do it. I gotta keep it. I gotta keep it."
And so, Joey Pants gives them the go ahead, and they raid Johnny Tapia's house. And during this raid, Peter Stormare comes into Johnny Tapia's house, and it's nuts, because then during
he does the raid, Russian Scarface.
He does the Russian Scarface, and
yeah,
Johnny Tapia finds out that Gabrielle Union is undercover DEA
at the same time
all this is going on. That all this is happening.
It's ridiculous, man.
And so, and this is where I really think the movie really takes off. So Johnny Tapia.
Oh, this is when you think the movie started?
Yeah, Nels. This is when the movie really takes off, right? Because Johnny Tapia kidnaps Gabrielle Union, right? So Marcus and Mike are like, "Oh, we did it." They play again. Shake your tail feather comes back into play. They're like, "Oh, you know, the famous like they're pointing at each other. Yeah, you did it." Mm-hmm. They think they busted Johnny Tapia. You know, it's a righteous bust, and then Johnny Tapia calls Martin Lawrence's cell phone and tells him that he kidnapped Gabrielle Union. And this is one of the best Michael Bay moments of all time. Slow motion, Martin Lawrence and Will Smith like get up. He's like, "Shit just got real."
And then you get the 360 Michael Bay camera.
The 360. Hey, yo, I don't know if y'all ever seen, I think it's Hot Fuzz. Have y'all seen Hot Fuzz?
Yeah.
Bad Boys 2 plays a prominent part in Hot Fuzz. And they quote this movie a lot. And this part shows up and then was like, shit just got real.
It's so classic. It's so classic. It doesn't even seem like it should fit in it. But Bad Boys 2 is what started it all.
And so basically Johnny Tapia is like, he's like, "Hey, I figured out who you are. I got your sister. I want $100 million in 24 hours, whatever, or she dies." And so, you know, they go back to the headquarters and this is when, because Cuba's involved, right? So the United States government is like telling Martin Lawrence, like, "Look, we don't negotiate with terrorists." I'm sorry, Martin Lawrence.
Especially Cuban terrorists.
Especially Cuban terrorists.
It's a delicate situation.
Yeah.
Or nuance.
Yeah. And he's like, "When you guys are going to go negotiating, my sister's going to be in a box." So Martin and Mike, you know, get together and he's like, "Look, man, we bad boys. We're going to do this ourselves." And then all these other...
hold on, Mark. And then the Justice League forms. X-Delta, DEA, CIA, FBI, Miami Detectives, America.
Yeah. Yo,
America forms.
Right. And now this is why I say the movie takes off here, because essentially they declare war on Cuba. Like they declare
that little mini militia. They're like, it's on.
Like, bruh, I get it, right? Like, Gabrielle Union's your sister. You know, I would do anything to get my family out of that situation. But I don't understand. The movie doesn't make sense to me why all these like ex-Navy SEALs, DEA, you know, all these FBI, they're like, "You know what, Martin Lawrence? We're going to invade Cuba with you. We're with you, brother."
America.
Yo,
that's why.
What gets me is one of the guys, you know, like how we're saying, yeah, I don't know quite why they wanted to just jump in and do this. One of the guys, he basically says that he's like, "Look, I don't know you." He's basically like, "Look, I don't know you. I don't know what's going on. You look like you're about to do something stupid, so I'm down."
He's like, "You look like you're about to do something real stupid. And I would love to tag along."
Yeah. Bro, you know what that tells me? That says every part of the military has a Mike Lowry in it.
There's a Mike Lowry.
And it just so happened they all met each other.
They were all in the same space at that moment.
Yeah, like, I don't know what's happening, but I feel like a lot of people are going to get shot. So count me in.
Bro. And then, so they're like, "All right, this is it. We're going to go to Cuba and we're going to get back Gabrielle Union." And then right before they go to Cuba, Joey Pants shows up with more people. He's like, "I got some help from you. He's like, don't ask me. There's spies." And they're like, "Permission?" I'm like, "Yo, y'all are spies." And you're like, "Permission on this mission to get Martin Lawrence's sister back." Like, look, fellas, I get it. But what value does it have to the United States government to get Gabrielle Union back on U.S. soil? Like,
no, you know, Mark, let me tell you something. Black women, I just want to talk to y'all for a second. We all need to appreciate this movie a little bit more, because this might be the only time I feel like we have seen the American government in some way, shape, or form Value black women the way they deserve to be valued.
A black woman went missing. Ex-CIA, FBI, you go get her back.
Yo, whatever it takes,
Whatever
you
it
get her
takes.
back. I wish America would ride or die for black women like that. 'Cause, look,
No
this is
bull.
Michael Bay. This is a Michael Bay movie.
No bull.
He's like,
No,
you're
bull.
American. That's all we need to know. We're gonna go get you. And
No
we're gonna
bull.
What if
mess
that
you
was
up.
his? What if that was his thing? And we know, like Michael Bay is like protect black women at all costs.
At all costs. You're gonna cause the Bay of Pigs again. What at all costs? You know? So and this
man.
is Cuba pre-Obama. Like there is no diplomatic relations with this nation. And so, you know, they're like, all right, we're gonna go into Cuba, and one of the Hispanic detectives is like, yeah, my cousin, he's gonna get us in there. And bro, they have this whole operation. They're like, we're gonna tunnel into Johnny Tapia's house, and we're gonna dig into his dining room, and we'll find Gabriel Union.
Yeah, and they said the brother is anti like Castro.
Yeah,
But like what I never really understood is like, yo, either y'all work really fast or y'all were just waiting for a reason to get to Tapia.
yes, please, yes, Nels. Look, that tunnel is finished. Like they get to
Yes.
Cuba and the tunnel's ready. They're like, all we have to do is essentially go into his house. It's like a mile long tunnel and it's done.
It's done. They were just
and
like, oh, we got a reason now. I bet.
And I like how like when they showed up too, they had like a couple of buckets of dirt just to make it look like, oh yeah, you know, we've been working.
Oh,
on
we've
this,
been
like,
working
now.
hard. Y'all ain't been working. This has been done, and y'all have been sitting and waiting for a reason to go in. No,
Yeah.
the only reason this house has been empty and Johnny Tapia has been in Miami, so he had no reason to go in the house, but now he's back in Cuba, so now there's a reason. But they link up, and I think his name is Tito. They're
Yeah, Tito.
man on the ground is Tito. So link up with Tito. He's like, yeah, this is Johnny Tapia's house, and we're gonna go in here. But if the military comes, because you know he's down with Castro, we're in trouble. So again, they declare war on Cuba. They they bust into Johnny Tapia's house, and
Cats
just
and lizards or iguanas, I
Yeah.
believe.
They throw iguanas over the fence and makes them turn off the motion sensor. And this is like $150 mansion, and they lay waste to this thing.
They start off with the RC racer car that's like doing tricks that explodes into a group of army folks who are playing
Bruh.
soccer.
what like you are and no, those are all military soldiers, and they're like, oh, look at this race car. They're like, oh man. I'm like, no, like that's a bomb. Get away from it. Get away from the and it blows up, launches them into the air like it's a Robert Rodriguez movie. It's just like
No. Like a Michael Bay movie.
like a Michael Bay.
Dog, right after that, he shoots like a rocket in the middle of a house, like just straight up in a house. This man cannot be stopped. That's why I was just like, yo, this man is sinister.
Yeah. Dog, this isn't a rescue mission. This is a full-on assault. These guys are coming in heavy. I'm talking about AR, you know, M50s, laying waste to
Grenades.
everyone. Grenades, laying waste to everyone in this mansion. So they find Gabriel Union, and then they're like, all right, blow it up.
That was part of their plan. Okay, let's talk about it. They did not need to blow up that house. But the plan was specifically to blow this house has to go. This house cannot exist anymore. So there's a story. Do y'all know the story about this house?
Yeah, but go ahead. Go ahead.
Well, correct me if I'm wrong, Mark. So a while ago, there's this guy who has this mansion. He's ready to like get rid of the mansion, but he had a specific request. He's like, I don't want to just sell it. I want someone to blow it up. Like if there's like a guy who wants to make a movie or whatever, I'm letting this house go so it could be blown up. And who got to it? Michael freaking Bay. So
Synergy,
whatever
dog.
his movie was
Synergy.
gonna be next, whatever movie it was, there was gonna involve a house being blown up, this mansion being blown up. So that's why they went to Cuba, and that's why that house got blown up.
But it looks good. Like I'm not gonna. It looks great. Like this is why real things will always trump CGI, because it's there. It's a real house being blown to smithereens, and it looks great. So they find Gabrielle Union, and everyone's like, "Oh, the Cuban army's here." Yeah, because you declared war on Cuba. They're all shocked. They're like, "Oh, why's the Cuban army here? We only assaulted this mansion with 50 guys with rocket launchers and assault rifles." So the army shows up and they're like, "We gotta get out of here." So they get in a Hummer and they blow up the mansion. And Johnny Tapia is not going out like that because they blew up his home. So he gets in the car and they're chasing Marcus and Mike through Cuba. And so they're running, and Tito's in the car with them. He's like, "Oh, we gotta get out of here." And so their plan is to go to Guantanamo Bay. They're like, "Okay, we'll go to Guantanamo Bay and we'll just run up on the base." And then Tito's like,
run up on the base
Yes.
of Guantanamo Bay.
This is like 2 years after 9/11, and they're like, "We're just gonna run up on the base." And Tito in the backseat, he's like, "No, you can't just run up on the Guantanamo Bay."
He said that's a very bad idea.
And Marcus and Mike are like, "No, we're Marcus and Michael. We're Marcus and Mike in Miami. We do whatever the hell we want. We're gonna run up on Guantanamo Bay." And so Johnny Tapia is chasing them. And fellas, can we talk about this scene? They go on this mountain slide that's like filled with these slums.
Yeah, it looks
Right?
like the equivalent of like Shantytown.
It looks like City of God, right?
Yes,
It
yes.
looks like City of God. It's like these slums on the side of this mountain. And Tito's like, "Oh, this is where they make the drugs." And then Mike Larry takes it upon himself. He's like, "Oh, well, I'm gonna drive through all these poor people's houses." Like, fellas, this is Cuba. These might be some of the poorest people on the planet, and they destroy a whole community.
There might be people in those houses.
Yeah.
There might be people just living their life in those houses.
Because his
entire village got blown up.
Because his next comment, once they were like, "Oh, this is like like the drug houses and stuff," he was like, "So there's probably a lot of stuff that can blow up in these." Like, I think that was like,
And that's all Mike needed to hear.
yeah.
It's like he got more aggressive.
He got more. He turned the wheel, and they're just going down through the shanty town. This is people's homes, right? They're like there's wires with laundry up there. There's stuffed animals. There's kitchens cooking food, but not with like Mike Larry on the scene. They're just driving through this town and they blow it all up. It just and I give the movie credit. Apparently, they made this town. They like built this whole town on the side of this mountain, and it looks good. But I'm just like, yo, Mike Larry is a menace to humanity.
Yes. No, that is clear. Because there was pure destruction between that mansion all the way to Guantanamo Bay. Pure
Mike
destruction.
Larry is a menace. I have not seen Bad Boys 3, but I assume it's about the nationwide manhunt to take down Mike Larry. Because I don't know what else it would be about.
I will say this, just to give you some context. You're not that wrong. But there is like one of the greatest assassins I've ever seen in any film movie ever. Specifically is after Mike Larry.
Good.
That is the premise of the movie.
Good.
I mean, like one of the greatest assassins I've
he the
I've
hero
seen a
of the
lot of
movie?
movies.
Is he like the
I won't
hero?
say anything else. I won't say anything else. But you'll watch it and you'll appreciate it. Please
My
believe.
God. I mean, like he devastates his city of Miami. and then goes to international waters to a country we have no diplomatic relations with, and just essentially another disaster. Like this is making national news. This is on CNN, MSNBC. Devastation. Cuba, mountainside village destroyed.
destroyed. People's like homes, their livelihood, their clothes, everything. This village is destroyed because America.
Because so they do like they said. They drove onto Guantanamo Bay, and I feel like this was so. What's the word I'm looking for? They were lucky. And you know what's funny? After they drive through the village, there's people like right after. There's people like chasing after, like, you sons of bitches! Our homes! Our home!
My community! My entire community!
My whole family was born in that house.
You just drove through your gas guzzling Hummer.
So they drive on the Guantanamo Bay, and the U.S. government's like, "Hey, stop!" Bloop, 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 and just gives them like slight warning shots.
Hey, I don't know what they're shooting them with. I don't think those were slight warning shots. I've seen that Hummer drive through an entire community. It took about 5 of those bullets, and the Hummer stopped moving.
No, I say slight warning shots because Marcus, Mike, and Gabrielle Union should be dead. They should be dead. That Hummer should be Swiss freaking cheese. There should be nothing left of that Hummer. And they get out like nothing's wrong. They're like, okay, we're out. Now keep running towards Guantanamo Bay.
Yes. And poor Tito, he ain't signed up for this.
He's still in the car. He's still in the car.
Tito is seeing all this go down in the back passenger seat. Oh,
He's
man.
still in the car. And so, Martin and Gabrielle Union are running towards the base, and the government gives them warning shots. And he's like, you are on a landmine. Don't move. And Johnny Tapia puts a gun to Mike's head. And this scene's just great. And Martin's like, I pay my taxes. I'm American. So Johnny Tapia's got him and his guy, and they're gonna shoot them and kill them. And Mike Larry, gun to his head, just can't stop. He's like, why don't we all go home? Well, we'll go home. You stay in the hotel because we blew up your house. Because I'm Mike Larry, and that's what I do.
Mind you, I know they put the mom and the daughter in the closet. Did they ever make it out the house?
Yo,
no one knows.
No one knows.
No one knows.
Oh, no.
So he's lost everything. He lost his money. He lost his family. He lost his amazing Cuban home to this one man.
Mike Larry. And I love this scene because, Johnny Tapia and his guys telling Martin and Gabrielle, he's like, drop your guns. And Gabrielle Union, in the most telegraphed move in movie history, the guy's like, throw me the gun. He's like, oh, she's like, okay, I'll throw you the gun. Right next to the mine. And she throws the gun at the landmine. And you know what, fellas? I don't know nothing about landmines. I don't know if they do this. This landmine goes 6 feet into the air, spins around, and blows up in this dude's face.
In a Michael Bay world, it does.
Yes.
In the real world, no. That's not how landmines work.
Yeah.
But in Michael Bay's world, yes, it operates like a little mini transformer and blows up in your face. And you skyrocket 50 yards the other direction. Yes.
And so Martin Lawrence takes this opportunity to make a move and shoot Johnny Tapia in the head. And you know what? In some good movie kind of like symmetry, this shot resembles the same time when Martin saved Martin's life in the beginning scene of the movie.
Yeah.
It's kind of like framed the same way.
Yeah.
So that's Michael Bay attempt at like art.
Retribution.
You know, it's like, theme, essence, art.
You see that, Oscars? You see that? Oh man.
And so they kill Johnny Tapia, and then Will Smith and Gabrielle Union starts making out on a landmine field because Michael Bay. And that's the end of the movie. We have a little kind of like mid-credit scene. Mike and Marcus are in a new pool that apparently Mike. The one nice thing Mike has done in this movie, he bought Marcus a new pool. But then the dog, again, the same way the pool broke the last time, the dog tied up to the damn pool breaks it again, and they fall into the river and they sing like "Bad boys, what you gonna do?" And that's the end of the movie.
And that is the movie.
Chef's kiss.
Bad boys,
Michael Bay's like,
Bad Boys,
perfection.
And then it went on to win 7 Oscars that year. And
So y'all, after watching this again after all these years, what are some of your takeaways?
I'll say mine real quick. I had to look back to be like, okay, when did Bad Boys 1 come out? Then I'm like, there have been some gaps there in time. Like because what Bad Boys 1 was in 95, then this was in 03. And 17 years later, Bad Boys 3 or Bad Boys for Life. And then presumably 4 years later, because I think they're saying that the Bad Boys 4 is possibly going to be 2024.
It's happening.
Yeah,
it is. Okay. No, I knew it was
2024.
going to happen, but I didn't know, like, are you truly going to get it out 2024 or will it be like a little later? But yeah, so they're saying 2024. So one, there was that, thinking about how long it has taken. And then, yeah, I think some of the points you hit on, things that stood out were like how so much has changed, because I mean, like, therapy, like, so like the jokes they made on therapy and stuff, but we're like, therapy is, I mean, it has always been a real thing, but therapy is very positive now. We're like, it's encouraged. You're a Black man in therapy? Yep, that is great. I hope that's what you're doing.
Yep.
Yeah, that. And yeah, I don't know. Like, there was that, and obviously, I mean, explosions, those things. I feel like they aged okay. I'm all for explosions.
I'll go
ahead,
real
Nels.
quick and say, the lines. I got two things. One, the lines still hit. The lines that I was quoting all the time in high school, they still hit to this day. So I can't believe I shouldn't knock Michael Bay, but like, this movie aged very well. There are parts where I'm like, that shows we were in the early 2000s, and Michael Bay just being Michael Bay. But I will say the fact that I still enjoyed it as much as I did back then is telling. So I think the movie aged pretty well. And yeah, man, like, obviously Michael Bay brought us the Transformers series and Transformers #3, which I would argue is one of the greatest action movies ever. Like, he did give us good stuff after this movie. It just so happens that like it's like a record that you've heard many times. You know exactly what he's doing, and you know exactly why he's doing it. You just got to decide whether you're going to enjoy the ride or not. But yeah, those are my thoughts.
Yeah, I agree. I think looking at Michael Bay as a genre, this might be one of his best movies, right? I think it goes without saying The Rock is probably his best cinematic piece of art of all time. When it comes to like story and plot and just like pacing, I think The Rock is a solid movie. Because here's the thing, The Rock is just a good action movie. It is not like the typical Michael Bay, what is happening, the world's exploding type of movie. But
yeah, I just gotta say, if you're going to originally ask me what I thought the best Michael Bay movie was, I was either going to say Transformers or Bad Boys 1, to be honest with you. But man, The Rock is such a great action movie.
The Rock
is such a great action movie.
It's so good. It's really good.
Man. That's a good one. Yeah.
So I think The Rock is still his best movie, but when you consider him as a genre, I think this might be his best movie. Because it just gives you what you want. Now, in terms of aging, yeah, there's a lot of things that wouldn't fly today. You know, we get the term propaganda a lot, and this movie is full of propaganda. Mike and Marcus move without any question. They don't answer to anybody. They make waste to whoever they want. They are judge, jury, and executioner. And I feel like we're a little bit more conscious on things like that in movies nowadays. That being said, this movie's always a treat to go back to, always a delight. But looking at it from the view of a father and the view of a husband and a man who's just trying to take care of his family, Mike Lowrey needs to be stopped. I couldn't. Like you know, this movie wants you to think that Martin is just like a big baby and, oh, come on, you know, you need to just get with the bad boys and stop crying. No, Mike Lowrey is a problem and he needs to be dealt with and he should be in prison. Like,
yeah, that's the message I got from this movie.
Yeah.
So. I think we're all on the same page.
And partly Marcus might just need a new family, or they just need to sit down. Because I'm like all the stuff he's doing, and like nobody appreciates it. They just laugh at him.
Nothing,
Exactly.
dude.
Exactly.
Their waterfront Miami house. They're like, Dad, you suck. You are just the worst stupid person who ever existed.
Terrible, but true. Any last thoughts before we head home?
If Michael Bay keeps bringing them, I'll keep watching them.
Yeah, you have clearly shown that because you have watched some of his worst movies on this planet. Yes, you have shown that. Shannon, you?
Yeah, looking forward to Bad Boys 4, 5, 6, or whatever's gonna come out. Martin Lawrence and Will Smith, they are a funny duo. I feel like there's not going to be something with them together and I'm not going to laugh. So yeah, I'm in.
Yeah, and I think for me, watching Bad Boys 2 reminded me that like, oh, I've seen Will Smith act like that before when he slapped Chris Rock. I was like,
oh yeah,
I knew I've seen this version of Will Smith before.
This Will Smith slaps everyone at every award show. Like,
yes.
it's not a shock. Every clutching their pearls. Nah, Mike Lowrey slaps everybody. Mike Lowrey slaps the Uber driver who got his order late. You know, like everyone's gonna slap by Mike Lowrey.
Yes, indeed. All right. Well, thanks everyone for listening. We have a new episode every month. You can find us on all social media at Pop Called Parent, POPCULTPARENT. Visit us at www.popcalledparent.com. Email us at popcalledparent@gmail.com. Don't forget to rate us, review, and subscribe. And as always, peace.
Peace.